Hey there, everyone. Thanks for listening to Limited Engagement. I'm your host for the show, Jared Duran, and this is LE98, which is an episode discussing the Indie Film Fest, and a representative from the Indie Film Fest, Lord Cash, is here to do just that, discuss the Indie Film Fest. And we'll get into that a little bit more in just a moment here, and what that is, and why you should go to that. We're back. I do mean that to sound excited. I'm happy to be recording these again and get back to the sort of flagship podcast that started me down this crazy podcasting road that's led to starting and, co-hosting how many other podcasts? Oh, I co-host 2 other podcasts now, Hoot and Review, and with Jenna Duncan, and What the Fork, which is a show talking about one of my favorite shows of all time, really now, The Good Place, with my friend Jason Kyle, and a lot of people have been checking those out, and there's also Chatterbox out there, or Chatterpod rather, the podcast version of the weekly open mic storytelling show that Jesse Bali runs, and Esteban Pina co-hosts, and down at oh God, what's the name of the place? Why am I blanking? Possibly because I'm recording this in the morning and I've only had 1 cup of coffee, which is interesting because the name of the place that I couldn't remember is Fair Trade, which is a coffee shop. Anyway, yes. And there's more coming. More stuff coming. I hope you've been checking out Album Infinitum, which is a podcast that I'm really passionate about. It's a music podcast. It's one where I have a guest on each show, and we discuss a specific album. But we take one artist at a time and go through their entire catalog. Well, specifically the albums. You can check out the show. I'm not going to explain the entire podcast here on this podcast. But right now, we're going through Amy Mann's albums, and the latest show that's going to drop is Lost in Space. It's the episode discussing the album Lost in Space by Amy Mann. I'm really happy with them so far. It's only been a month, but I feel like I have learned, picked up a lot of new things as far as that you may or may not notice, as far as editing podcasts and little tricks and things here that, again, you may not pick up, but I'm really happy with them, and trying new things. It's a new year, trying to have a new outlook on things, starting therapy for the first time. That's new for me. We'll see how that goes. I hope well, because I need it to go well. And yeah, new things. Trying to break the old self-destructive habits and not have all the sort of mini panic attacks and constant anxiety that marked 2018. I thought I'd give a little bit of a sort of a state of the show up at the top here, with it being the first one of the new year, and kind of what the plan is for limited engagement going forward here, and we'll see how it all goes. But did 30 some odd episodes last year. I don't know. I put a Facebook post out there. You can find it. Just look for LTD Engagement on Facebook, and if you don't already follow that, you can. And but I put together exactly how many guests I'd had for the entire year, and it was a lot of shows, but trying to do even more this year. 40 episodes is my goal, and I think that's an achievable goal with, becoming weekly maybe in 2020. We'll see. Who knows? That's new outlook. Trying to be positive. All these things are going to happen. I don't subscribe to that whole thing, that whole positive, if you put positivity into the world, good things will happen. I don't know. Maybe it works. We'll see. In general, I'm trying to be optimistic about things. That's the theme going forward. And just doing the work and making it good, and things will happen. And try not to worry so much. Anyway, trying to do 40 episodes while maintaining mental sanity. So we're not going to quite be weekly. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to lay out. I will try to keep everyone apprised of what our posting schedule is. We might just take a couple of breaks here and there throughout the year, where we have 2-3 weeks off, maybe over the summer. Probably having a little break during the established holidays where people kind of expect it. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'll keep you in the loop. Speaking of new and positive, we have a brand new sponsor for the podcast, Chris Ayres Creative. It's a new year. We're barely into it, and maybe you have designs on starting a new business, or you have a business and you like to give it a new look. Well, look no further than Chris Ayres Creative. Chris does logo design, video editing and animation, website creation, print and digital materials, marketing stuff. He does it all. Anything you need, visually, design-wise, Chris Ayres has you covered. I actually have some Chris Ayres posters that are fantastic, that he's done for the Phoenix Film Collective. I got the one for What We Do in the Shadows, and the one for Being John Malkovich. And there's Chris has this awesome aesthetic, and I highly recommend. It's great that I have a sponsor for the podcast that I feel good talking about. That's another positive thing. So if you go to chrisayrescreative.com, that's AYERS, chrisayrescreative.com, you can see examples of Chris's work, including work that he's done over his roughly 20 years of work in design. And there's his work with Right This Minute, his work with CBS 5, he's been doing design work in Phoenix for 12 years, and he's been doing design work overall for nearly 20. So he's got a ton of experience, and you can check out his work on chrisayrescreative.com. Support us by supporting our sponsor. Yeah. My guest for today's show is Lord Cash. He's a member of The Stakes, which is a hip-hop group here in Phoenix. But he's hopefully, I had a great time talking to Cash, and I'm excited to have him come back and talk about his music. But he's here on the show today as a representative of the Indie Film Fest. And that is the focus of our discussion, is this brand new festival It's February 1st and 2nd. It has events at Film Bar, Crescent Ballroom, Paz Cantina. You can learn more about it at theindiefilmfest.com. You can get tickets at squareup.com/store/Mango Skies. I'm not going to give away too much information up front here because that's the bulk of the show, is talking about this film festival. But when I saw this festival happening, I really wanted to have a representative of it on the show because what they're doing is really cool. Phoenix doesn't have anything like this right now that is a film festival aimed specifically at independent filmmakers, featuring films by marginalized people, and really putting some important work out into the world. There's a lot of local filmmakers involved, but also filmmakers from all around the world. And it's just this really, really cool project. And I'm happy that they wanted to go ahead and send somebody down to talk to me about it. And let's go ahead and get into that discussion. Well, so, I mean, might as well start off with the name, just because I'm curious. Where does Lord Cash come from?
A vivid imagination. First of all, a long time ago, it was just Cash, and it was a rap name that I don't know. I don't have a lot of siblings. I have one younger brother, and he's 10 years younger. So I didn't have a gang of friends to like name me. So
it's a big gap,
which is a big thing, where I'm from, like roving groups of kids. So, I came up with that on my own. I couldn't even tell you how now, but I do know how. It used to be Cash 2099 because of my affinity for comic books.
Oh, sure. Like Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah. And then I dropped the 2099 when I started rhyming. Mm-hmm. And then when I moved to Arizona, I was in a different stage of life and a little older and a father. So I felt like I had earned myself a title, and it became Lord Cash so I could differentiate what I did before versus what I was about to do.
I was going to ask where the Lord came in.
Yeah. I wanted something different. I didn't want anything the average person would use.
Sure.
And I don't know.
It certainly stands out.
Yeah. I just trusted my gut on it. I wanted something distinguished,
Yeah. It's something that people won't forget.
Yeah.
What brought you out to Phoenix?
I'm from Ferguson, Missouri, and I was.
Well, I guess I kind of have to ask now. When did you leave Ferguson?
I left a long time ago.
Okay.
I've been here for about 10 years now, and 10 years ago, I could tell you what happened was possible and very probable, and that's part of the reason I left. The same feeling that caused that situation to ignite in Ferguson was the one I was tired of. I was tired of feeling like my life was in danger, one way or the other, whether it was through violence from on the street or violence from police. And I wanted a change of scenery. I had felt like I had gone as far as I could go there. It started feeling really small, and I was ready for a change. And it was just a whole full circle of events. My wife found an opportunity because she wanted to be a doctor, and we learned about naturopathy and natural medicines, which we were already into because we were vegan, and we were always interested in alternative health cures. And once she found that, we came and visited, and we were ready to go. So we came out here so she could attend medical school, which she did, and she's doing great at it.
Oh, very cool.
And then, I was a slow starter. I didn't know anybody, and it took a while, but once I finally got my